Good evening. It's Larry from 3+1 with Cody.
Hey, how's it going?
How y'all doing tonight? We got Mr. Bob from BOBCAT Outdoors with us tonight.
8 o'clock.
Howdy.
Mr. Bob.
Good evening.
Hey, if any of you guys haven't checked out Bob's channel already, go over to BOBCAT Outdoors and check him out. He's got a great channel, got some great content.
Had a lot of big catches here lately. I've been watching a lot of his videos, and every one I click on seems like he's getting a new PB in it. So that's a blessing in and of itself. He's definitely knows how to get on them and been getting on them. That's for sure.
For sure.
Well, they're getting bigger all the time, which I can't complain. I feel blessed for that.
More and more people are catfishing, trophy catfishing, and not just catfishing to eat. Even us, I know my whole time growing up, Daddy kept all the catfishing. It's what we eat. He got a beef off the farm once a year, and other than that, it was what he killed, hunted, and fished for. But now we're releasing 99% of the fish we catch. We keep some small ones to eat, but that seems to be a growing trend, and I think it's going to really we're going to see the fruits of that in the future. More and more people doing that. So
yeah, I believe we already are seeing the fruits of that for sure. I mean, I've been fishing the Tennessee River since I was 13 years old, I guess, and you just didn't see that many big fish. Well, of course, we were fishing for them differently too, so that makes a difference. We're fishing with chicken livers. You weren't catching 50-pound catfish on chicken livers.
right.
Hot dog.
The fishing game has definitely changed.
Well, on that topic, could tell us the days back in the past, how you target them, and some of the newer techniques you've learned, and how you're going about it now.
Well, I was talking to somebody today about I fished a lot, growing up on the Tennessee River, and of course we did fish with a lot of chicken livers and hot dogs. And I was talking to someone today about a very the EPA would probably put you in jail now. My uncle, he had his secret catfish bait. He would take hot dogs and soak it in automatic transmission fluid. And he would actually catch fish on it. I was like, I can't believe that worked, but it did. Nowadays, if somebody gets you doing something like that, you probably go to jail. But hot dogs and chicken livers and worms, we would put on at an area called Suck Creek, and about this time of year, we drift the channel from Suck Creek down to Raccoon Mountain, which I think's about, I don't know, a 5-mile drift or something. And we just stay in the channel and drift, bouncing off the bottom, get hung up a lot, lose a lot of lead and stuff. We didn't, we really didn't know what we were doing. And we didn't have floaters back then, and all these fancy rigs. We just had a bank sinker on the bottom and a dropper loop with a J hook on it and chicken liver or whatever. So definitely a lot different nowadays how we fish for catfish versus back in 1988, 89. A lot of different stuff we do now.
Definitely. You was talking about the hot dogs and the transmission fluid. I remember that back about the time you're talking about in the late 80s there. I remember taking hot dogs and soaking them in that fish formula.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing with that one day, and I got some of that fish formula in my mouth, and I puked.
Oh, I lost the audio on you there.
Oh, okay.
There you
So nowadays, using mostly, I'm guessing I've seen use a Santee rig a lot with a no roll or use a pan sinker roll and circle hooks, correct?
Yeah, I'm using 8/0 circle hooks, and I don't use a no roll much anymore. I mostly use either a disc sinker or a bank sinker on a Carolina rig or a Santee rig with a float. I just started trying out those little line rattles or whatever, just because my buddy Daryl gave me a few, and I thought, well, I must try some. I usually run about half my rods with the little rattles on it. I haven't noticed any difference whether it works or helps or whatever. It just, I've got, if you, in one of my videos, you can see what I call the Winnie the Pooh rig. And I've got a bobber, a foam float that's red on the top and yellow on the bottom. And then when you put the red rattle on, it looks like Winnie the Pooh. So I call it my Winnie the Pooh rig. It's because it's yellow and, he wears a red shirt. And,
looks like his little arm sticking out there.
yeah, like he's got a little arm sticking out there.
So when you're fishing, you like anchoring up more than you do drifting?
It really depends on the water flow. We've had a lot of rain this winter, so mostly we've been anchor fishing, and we've had so much water that we haven't even been able to get on the river all that much this year. So we've been fishing on the lake a lot, and plenty of current on the lake. So primarily we've been anchor fishing, but now that TVA's cutting back the water, it's about time to start drifting again. It's hard to drift when you're drifting at 5 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, fish have to be a torpedo to catch up with the bait.
Yeah, they got to be some, and them big fat fish that I want, they ain't gonna swim that fast.
That's right.
They lay in wait, that's for sure. So, well, went blank, went blank there.
So as you said, you like using 8/0 hooks. So is there a reason you like the 8/0 hooks? Is it just the bait size that you like to use? You like to use the 8/0 hooks, or is it just 8/0 hook or more all around hook for you?
I think it's just a good general purpose size for catfish from 5 to 50 pounds. I just think it's just a good size. I don't know. It's what I got. It's what I feel. I do have some. I think I've got some 9/0 Team Catfish circle hooks in my box, and maybe a couple 10/0s. But the ones I'm using right now, I don't even know what brand they are, but they're a lighter gauge wire, and to me they just feel sharper. The point feels sharper on them, and I want good hook penetration, so I just use them because I'm confident in them. And that means a lot when you're fishing. What you're confident in.
Right.
SS Jello, one of the guys in chats here, just asked, what part of Tennessee are you from, Bobcat?
Oh yeah, Chattanooga, Tennessee is my home. Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're blessed. The boat ramp for the Tennessee River is 8 minutes from my front door.
I tell you what, watching you guys fish Tennessee River, and there's several great YouTubers out there that fish
absolutely.
River. Some of the fish y'all pull out Tennessee River. I'm from here in southern Kentucky, right here on the Tennessee border. I'm gonna have to get over and fish it sometime.
Hey, come on down, man. We'd love to show you our holes. Well, not all of them, some of them.
Make that. We might have to make that trip.
Yeah, we may have to make it.
What's up, Jello?
So let's go through the chat here. Just give a quick shout out to everybody joining us. We are everybody that's joining us. Looks like we got J&S Outdoors in the chat with us. Good to see you, J&S Outdoors. Catfishing Katie Collins, Dale Hayslip, Mason Harris. How's it going, Mason? SS Jello Chicken, Palmetto Cats. How's it going, Palmetto Cats? We're pumped for Saturday. And Eddie Gross is in the chat with us. So I know I missed a bunch, but just with me scanning through there. So I just want to say hi to all those guys.
Well, go ahead. While he said something about Palmetto Cats, it reminds me, I want to get this out there before we get too far in tonight. Saturday, we're going to be in the first annual Whisker Derby that's put on by Palmetto Cats. We're going to be live streaming from 8 to 1 Eastern time. And
we'll stream our part on our channel.
We'll be streaming. And during this Whisker Derby, the way you'll get points, and it's you'll get points to win. You get a point for every new subscriber you get during it. You get a point for every giveaway you do during it. And that being said, I need to give a shout out to Uncle Lou, Hooks Terminal Tackle, and Kitty Chasers Tackle Company. Those three companies did sponsor us, donate us some prizes to give away. And other ways is, of course, catch fish, different size fish, different points. But you get points for giveaways. subscribers, and fish. But also, I would like to give each contestant that's going to be in that a shout out. So, of course, it's going to be Palmetto Cats, us, 3+1 Outdoors, Circle Hook Productions, The Weekend Angler, Has Life Fishing, Catfishing, Brian B. Catfishing, Brian B. Catfishing, Parker Pursue, Fishing Magician 2.0, Team Mexicat Fishing, and Kayak Mike. And also, I know, I think Has Life said Hobby Nerd, his brother, was going to be out there with him. So I just wanted to go ahead and give that a shout out while we're on here.
And each contestant will be streaming their part of it on their own channel.
Yeah.
So it is hosted by Palmetto, but
right. Check out all those channels and give us all a shout on Saturday morning.
Hey, how's it going, Has Life? But back to the star of the show right now, Bob.
Uh-oh.
I know I watched just a few minutes ago. I'd already watched the 73, but I got a chance to watch the 60 something. And man, I got excited watching it. You were pumped, and
I was stoked. Audio is kind of dropping out. Repeat that.
I'll just tell us kind of about it. You know, maybe the conditions of the day, what you were doing to target.
Well, it actually started out that I was quit out of that. Hang on, I'm sorry. It actually started out that I was taking a buddy of mine crappie fishing that morning, and I did a lot of that this winter. I'd go crappie fishing in the morning, and then I'd switch over to catfish later in the afternoon, just because I love crappie fishing too. And I took a buddy of mine and his young son from Nashville crappie fishing, and his little boy got a little fussy, so we kind of ended the trip early. And I was like, man, it's only 11 o'clock. I got to go back out and go fishing. So I set up, went back upstream and set some skipjack out that I caught that morning, and I probably hadn't been fishing for 30 minutes before I hooked into that big old rascal, and it was incredible, man. And like you seen in the video, I was stoked to have that fish. I just couldn't believe it. Just so excited to have it in the boat. Blessed is the only word I can use by it. And again, I was by myself that time too, so trying to wrestle a fish that size by yourself, trying to net him. And, that's one thing y'all will see on this video that's coming out Sunday morning is that, again, I was by myself, and every time I tried to get the net near that 73-pounder, he would bolt. I mean, so I've got the rod in the air, and I'm trying to get the net underneath him, and as soon as he'd been caught before, I guarantee you. And every time I get the net near him, he'd take off and start ripping drag out again. I was like, man, I'm never going to get this fish in the boat. But he had me hurting pretty good the next day.
That's one of the great things about CPR. We get to enjoy catching that fish, and then we get to release it, and somebody else, gets to enjoy catching that fish at some point.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of people at church asking me if I was going to keep it or what I did with it. I said I put it back. I want to catch him again when he's 100 pounds.
There you go.
I feel that way about all those cats. I want to catch them again when they're big. What a great feeling that would be.
That's definitely a dream to get one that weighs 100 pounds one day.
Oh, that's that's a goal for sure. I don't know what I'd do with it, but I'd do my best with it.
That video comes out on the 2nd, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I set a reminder on my page to watch it. So.
Yeah,
I'm proud of that video.
I would be too. I'd be tickled with catching a fish like that. Bigger, that's for sure.
Bigger than any I've ever caught.
Yeah, sure.
So, get chat pulled back up here. Go ahead, Dave.
What kind of bait do you like to use?
Skipjack's king on the Tennessee. I mean, if you can get a hold of skipjack, that's the number one best bait on the Tennessee River system. And that's what I use most of the time now. Certain times of year, the skipjack aren't below the dams. They're not easy to get. They're kind of always in a reservoir, but they're easy to get in the spring. But bluegill, you know, if you can't get skipjack, I think bluegill's probably the next best thing. And I have fished with some chicken. I just don't particularly like using chicken. I leave that to Dieter Melhorn.
Oh, I tell you now, I've caught a lot of good fish on chicken.
Yeah. Well, it works. I mean, it's being proven all the time on YouTube that it catches fish.
But you know, we don't have skipjack here in our home lake, so bluegill's my favorite bait. I love using big old bluegill head. I like putting that head.
Oh yeah, that head's got the best blood in it. You got the brains and the gills, and I mean, it's good. Can't beat. I think that's why skipjack head works so good. It just lets out scent and blood for a long time.
So, what kind of tackle do you like to use? Do you have a favorite type rod or favorite reel or anything you like to use?
You know, I don't have a whole lot of high dollar stuff. I picked up a couple of the Tanglewood Catfish monster rods this year at during the Catfish conference because they were running a sale on like $45 for blims. So I snatched a couple of those up, and those are awesome rods. A buddy of mine is kind of on like he's got a pro thing with Denali rods, and they used to make one called the Bottom Feeder. I don't even think you can get them anymore. You may be, I don't know. I don't have an outfit that costs more than $100 rod and reel. I've got a bunch of old 6500s that I've collected over years, and I work on reels, so I find them beat up and, you know, needing grease and whatever, and I take them apart and clean them and put new drag washers in them, and you just about can't kill them old reels. People just don't take care of them. They don't take them apart and clean them. They just throw them away when they get a little gritty. Right. So I know I don't have a combo that costs me more than $100 at the most. I don't spend a whole lot of money on tackling. I don't care if everything matches. I fish with what I got. Yeah, I started out with those old with the Walmart what are they, big game rods, something like that. Yeah, big game. I started out with a couple of those, and I still got a couple of them. I fish with them every now and then, but I don't think you ain't got to spend a whole lot of money to catch catfish, even big catfish.
Well, talking about the ambassador reels, and you said you had some of the older ones. I've got one that's probably it's at least 20 years old, and it's my favorite reel. But then we bought some of the newer 6500 reels, and they went down on us in 6 months of buying them. And I know that they make the higher end catfish branded ambassadors, and they look like they're made a lot nicer. Mm-hmm. And base model ambassadors seem like the quality of them maybe has slipped in the last 20 years or so. I don't know if we're the only one that has had that problem. And not speaking bad about the company, because I think
like you said, I think I personally like the older ones better, but I think you get what you pay for when you go buy an ambassador. If you buy one of the lower dollar ones, it's a lower grade reel. You have to get into the higher dollar, the better made reels before you get the better quality out of them.
Yeah, I've got a couple of the Ambassador S reels, and I've been inside of them, and I can just tell you that they're not made like the Swedish reels. If I was going to buy one made in China, it wouldn't be a Abu. It'd probably be one of the one I really like right now is that Chaos 50 by PC Fun.
Yep.
Man, that's a smooth reel. That it's butter smooth.
I had one of those. It's over in the bottom of the lake now.
How did it get there?
We got up one morning and my wife wanted to go bank fish. She didn't want to go out in the boat.
Oh, I remember that.
So we went over and we went live, and man, we didn't get a bite while we were live. And as soon as we killed the live feed, I walked up in the corner going to try to catch a bluegill to freshen up bait, and there went my rod.
Oh,
and it was the highest dollar rod and reel combination that I had, but it's in the bottom of the lake now.
Yeah. Had a nice B&M rod.
Yeah.
And the thing about it was the rod and reel had actually never caught in a fish.
Oh my goodness, that's depressing. Yeah, I had on my very first live feed, talking about losing a rod and reel. My very first live feed, it's a couple of weeks ago. It's the very first time I went live. It was toward the end of the feed. I caught a fish and I laid my rod, and it was actually one of my monster rods and the PC Fun reel, and I laid it on the back deck, and I was getting the fish unhooked, and I don't know what happened, but after I got the fish unhooked and showed him to the camera, I looked around and I seen my weight, and I seen my float, and I seen my hook, and I seen my leader, but I didn't see my rod anywhere. I'm like, where's my rod at? And then I looked, I followed the line back, and my rod and reel were hanging off the transom of the boat, completely submerged. And the only thing to keep it from was the weight sitting on the back deck of the boat. I grabbed the leader and pulled the rod and reel up. I thought it was funny.
Yeah,
That was a close call.
It was a very close call. I only had like 6 ounces of weight. How 6 ounces of weight kept a complete entire rod and reel from going overboard, I'll never know.
Wow.
My oldest son, he fishes with us quite a bit. He's 7, and he loves Catfishing Carp channel and the Outdoor Boys channel in particular. And they've done quite a few videos with those Dock Demon rod and reels.
Yeah.
So he thinks those things have hung the moon. And I went and bought him 2 of them. And first day out with one, he goes out fishing with us, and he cast and cast the whole thing right into the water.
Oh no.
We try to drag and catch it. Didn't happen. We go to change spots, pull up anchor, and the line was wrapped around the anchor. So got to get a hold of the line. Of course, he did it while casting, so the bail was open. I had to pull every bit of line off that thing to get it back in the boat, but we got his little rod and reel back for him. So of course you get the $15 rod and reel combo back. You don't get the
No.
rod and reel combo back.
No.
Good thing you had a good solid arbor knot on there, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
you know, them rod and reel combos that they're not even tied at the end. So the whole time I was pulling, I was like, watch this just be, the end of the line be taped on, because, it's a $15 rod and reel.
Yeah.
They do whatever they can to make it the cheapest. It come pre-spooled, So, but he was happy, and he holds on to his rod and reel a little tighter when he's casting now.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I kind of look around now when my boat's, it's only 17 feet. I mean, it's bigger than the one I used to have, but it's kind of, when you get excited and you get a fish on, you kind of forget where you put things at. So I'm constantly like kicking stuff out of the way, and it's aggravating. So yeah, you get excited, and that's probably what happened. I probably kicked it overboard while I was trying to unhook this fish and make sure the camera was where it needed to be and whatnot. So yeah.
That just goes to show some of the challenges you don't realize you're going to have when it comes to creating a YouTube channel.
Well,
Goodness.
exactly. So why don't you tell us about that? What has been your biggest challenge making a YouTube channel?
Oh man, the cameras. I fight with the cameras all the time. I've got a couple of GoPros. I've got a GoPro Hero 5 and I've got a Hero 7, and they never seem to want to work like I want them to, when I want them to. And a fish is on, I'm trying to turn the camera on, and there's beeping going. It's like, and then I won't catch something on video. And the camera add a whole other level of aggravation to trying to fish.
Right.
And then, of course, there's always the video editing that takes forever. But yeah, I fight with the cameras all the time. You'll hear me fussing at, if I put some of my raw footage out, you'll hear me fussing at the cameras all the time. It just, turning the camera on, making sure the camera is mounted. I have one camera set up as what I call a takedown camera. It's just focused on the rods. And I'm always trying to make sure that the rods are in the picture and that everything looks right on it. And then I wear one either on the chest strap or whatever to turn on when I'm fighting a fish. And just constantly monkeying around with the cameras is so aggravating. I'll probably know, any YouTuber on here knows exactly what I'm talking about.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then just what Cody just said, and you'll think you're getting good video, and you've caught a fish or something, and it's flopped water, and it's got on your lens or something, and then you've filmed half a day and then can't even use it.
Or fish slime on your lens.
Yeah.
I got like one of the videos I just put out. If you look on the left side of the screen, you'll just see a haze, and it's just this fish slime. I had to take, when I caught that 73 on Monday, I had to bring my chest, because I didn't take my chest camera off. I had to take it out of the case and scrub it with a toothbrush because I had catfish slime like injected in every crevice on that camera. It was incredible. I thought I was going to have to throw it in the washing machine. Had so much slime on the camera. That was great.
That's been Daddy's biggest struggle too, and I'm not good at it. I'm far from being good at filming, but his biggest struggle has been the camera. You know, he knows how to fish just as well as anybody, but you know, he gets out there and he has the worst luck with it, because he'll finally have a day where he actually has the GoPro set to what it's supposed to, not set to where he's clicking pictures or something another, and then he'll have water on the lens. And
yeah, it's frustrating. It really is. And you guys, anybody who's fished with me, I just always fussing with the cameras, and you're like, yeah, all I really want to do is fish.
And we wouldn't have a channel if it was. My mother does our editing for us, so, and that's a huge blessing, because
you are blessed in that regard. I'm gonna tell you, that's I wish I could find somebody to edit for me.
He'll fuss at her, hey, you gotta hurry up and edit this. You gotta hurry up and edit this. She'll say, you want to do it? He said, all right, take time.
I mean, it's not unreasonable to have 10 hours of editing in one 15 to 20 minute long video. I mean, people who are not doing this, you don't realize just how much time you invest in editing. And I'm super picky, so I just keep going back and changing things. And you know, sometimes I bounce it off other people and say, what do you think about this? And they'll give me their advice, and I'll either take it or I won't. But the editing is it takes up so much time. So give your wife and mother a big hug for that, for sure.
So do you use any external mics or anything, or do you just use your mics on your GoPros?
I'm just using the mic straight out of the GoPro. I had an old a Hero 3 Plus is what I started with, a old GoPro, and of course the 3 Pluses are in the plastic case, and of course you can buy a frame or whatever, but the audio was horrible on that thing. When it's inside the waterproof case, you might as well forget about audio on it. So I've upgraded cameras over time, you know, just wanting to make sure I want to continue doing what I'm doing with them. So the newer versions of the GoPros are a lot better in that regard.
Yeah, my Hero 9, the sound quality on it, and even how it cuts out a lot of the wind.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Another great feature on it that I don't know if other YouTubers use is it has hindsight on it. So it really helps with your editing. You can be filming almost the whole time, but it's not actually filming. Once you click the button, whatever you got it set to, it'll record 30 seconds, 15 seconds, 10, whatever you got it set to before you click the button. So if you get a takedown, you hit the button, you've got the 30 seconds before it. So you're not having to film all one big long piece and have to sort through it and take the time to watch it all back as much. So
that's super cool.
Yeah, it helps a lot. So I like that feature on the Hero 9. He has the Hero 7
Black's what I had,
and we couldn't figure it out on there. I'm not sure if it has that feature or not. So what's been what's your goals for your channel? I know you're growing every day. I believe you're 350 or so subscriber count right now, and you've got some videos with amazing view counts, some videos with upwards of 2,000 views each on them. So you're definitely growing. But what's your goal?
You know, like all beginning YouTubers, I'm on that race to 1,000 to, you know, just to get there. It's kind of a goal I've set for myself. That's kind of right now is what I want to do. But I've been back and forth. My heart's been in it and my heart's out of it. And I'm trying to put out a video every week, and man, that's so hard to do when you're working. And I've basically got one day of fish. I've got Saturday fish. I don't fish on Sunday, so I'm a Monday through Friday guy, and I've got one day to get my fishing in, whether it's raining, whether the wind's blowing. I got one day to fish. Now, of course, it's spring. It's late, darker later. It gets darker later, and like Monday was one of those trips where I can get out after work. The river's right down the road, so hopefully I can just keep putting out a video every week, maybe every 2 weeks. But I'm enjoying it. It's fun. It seems like every time I do put out a video, it gets a little bit easier. So
I know exactly what you're saying. Just like you, I work 5 days a week. I've got Saturday to get out and fish and make a video. Sundays, we're very involved in our church, and we don't fish on Sunday. So it's a 1 day a week thing for us too. So we have to try to do our homework and try to make sure we make it happen on Sundays. But here lately, we've been blessed enough. We've got to take 2 vacations in April that we got to make a lot of videos. It wasn't catfishing. We went on a crappie fishing trip, and then we went to the Gulf to fish for a week.
Yeah, I need to get back to crappie fishing, but I've just been having fun with these big slimy monsters.
Oh yeah,
I'm a dock shooter. When I go crappie fishing, I go to the docks, and I go there, and I tell people all the time it's like going to the grocery store. I got docks I go to. I know there's going to be fish on it. I'll pull up on them and put a few in the boat, and move to the next dock, put a few in the boat. I love crappie fishing too.
The thing about it is, the catfishing, we'll turn them loose. But if that crappie's of a legal size limit, he's going into live weight.
Oh yeah, he gets hit.
There ain't nothing any better than a big old pan of fried crappie.
Oh, you ain't lying. Can't beat it. I keep crappie in my freezer year round.
Oh,
and, I eat it and I give it to people. A lot of people I go to church with, they've had crappie from my freezer. But yeah, I like eating me some crappie. I like eating it fried. I like eating it blackened.
I believe we just posted a BOBCAT Outdoors YouTube link in the comments. So everybody that's watching with us and going to be watching in the future, be sure to check him out. If you're in the chat right now, just click on that link, go over, give him a subscribe. You will not be catching some amazing fish.
Channel. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And he's got a great personality. He gets excited fish, and that's what we all love to see. Somebody
love to see that excitement.
Yeah, that enthusiasm for the sport and the great outdoors. So, well, we've got Catapalooza coming up. Coming up next month. We're still in April right now.
Yeah, we're gonna go to that.
You going to Catapalooza? I know.
Absolutely, yeah, I'll be there. I think I'll be there Friday and Saturday, I believe. I don't know exactly when, but yeah, it's too close not to go.
Right.
Hopefully I get to hang out with a bunch of cool YouTubers while we're there.
Yeah, we're gonna make a trip down there for sure. So get back to the catfishing. What's your favorite catfish to target? Channels, blues, or flatheads?
Blues and flatheads. I love the flatheads, but I don't particularly go out and target them. I just want big fish, so that puts channel cats out of the way. Blues probably, I guess, is my biggest thing to fish for. Of course, like I said, I love a flathead too. They're just a cool fish.
So, what is your personal best on a flathead?
Gosh, probably. I haven't caught a big flathead, probably about 10 pounds or so. I really hadn't caught all that big of a flathead. Now, my buddy Daryl, when I took him out, I think the very first time we fished together, Daryl at Trophy Seekers Outdoors, we went up to one of my spots on the lake side, the Chickamauga Lake side, and the very first time he and I fished together, he caught a 72-pound flathead on my boat. I mean, it was huge. Yeah, very impressive fish.
Very nice fish. I actually watched that video. It was a good video.
Yeah, I can't claim that fish. It was in my boat, but it wasn't my fish.
72. Yeah, that's the one I.
And so now you're in your personal best blue is now 73 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So you went up him.
I had to one up him.
That's right.
Gotta love it.
So how about a channel cat? Have you ever caught any channel cats of any size?
No, not really. I don't. I rarely catch a channel cat. I mean, I'm using big baits, and most times when I'm using those big baits, the channel cats just sit down there and pick it off the bone. I mean, I pulled in a head on Monday that I used, and there wasn't nothing left but the gill rakes and the eyeballs and the skull. I mean, they had picked it clean.
Yeah, you always hate that when I'm out there and you just sit there and they just peck, 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 peck.
Yeah, you just see your rod just the whole time. You're like, get off of my bait. Skipjack's too hard to get to be feeding them little brown rascals.
You get to think flathead sometimes when they're doing it too, because that flathead sometimes will get a hold of the bait and chew on it. It seems he doesn't always take it and run like a blue will, and think you might be getting a good flathead bite, and it turns out you got some little channel cats down there playing with your heart.
Yeah, I'll do that too. I've seen flatheads just sit there and you'll just see it move like something's nibbling on it, and then the line will just sit there. The rod won't move. Then when you go to reel it up to move or whatever, he'll be sitting on there. Sometimes I think they just engulf a bait and just lay there. Maybe they're trying to digest it.
They'll definitely chew on it for a while before they take.
As far as electronics in your boat, what electronics do you make sure you take out with you? You use a graph, I see. Is there a certain one you use or partial to?
Well, I've had Humminbirds and I've had low ranch units. I just this year picked up a Garmin unit, and out of all of them I've had, this Garmin, man, it's awesome. It's like it's a 9-inch screen, the 530 something. I can't remember what it is, but the picture on it is awesome, and the fish arches are just incredible on it, better than any of the other graphs I've used. And I think it's like a step up from the one that Hagen Grubbs uses. I actually talked to Hagen about his unit before I bought this one, and he was like, "Yeah, I love my." And I was watching some of his videos and looking at how clean the fish arches were on his videos. I'm like, "Man, tell me about that Garmin unit you're using," because just and sure enough, I didn't have to tweak it, or every graph I've ever owned, I've had to sit there and monkey with it, tweak it, and adjust the this, that, and the other. But this Garmin right out of the box, man, I just turn it on and no tweaking required. It shows beautiful fish arches, bottom structure is like looking at a picture. I'm really impressed with it. And so my days of sitting and tweaking on the Humminbird are over.
My wife blessed me with a Garmin for Christmas, and I'll tell you, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
Like, just looking at the graphs on that thing, it's awesome.
Yeah, and like I said, is like with my other units, my low ranch and my Humminbird, I always had to adjust the sensitivity and the gain, and you're constantly monkeying with it to get the best image. And and like any kind of fishing, bottom structure matters, and what you can see on the graph makes a big difference. So, just not having to sit there and monkey with it to get the best image. I just go over what I want to fish and look at it, and it shows, rocks and sticks and trees, and on the 2D you see nice fish arches, and you can kind of tell, what they are. Man, I love that. So I suggest anybody that's looking for a new fish finder, check out one of those new Garmin units. They're the bomb.
They are. They're great. They're awesome. So that being said, you're talking about all the stuff you can see down there. So what do you target when you go out after the catfish? Landscape or whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking for, depending on the current situation and where I'm at, I'm looking for current breaks, whether it be on the surface of the water, just looking at the water for current seams, and on the bottom structure, I'm looking for things that catfish are going to hide behind and ambush prey. So I'm looking for rocks and holes, and ledges. You know, you're looking at your map card. You want to target areas that have steep ledges where the topography lines, the contour lines are close together. So I'm always kind of just looking at what I see on the map and then riding over it and looking for places for that, structure that fish are. I'm not even always necessarily looking for fish. I'm looking for structure in places that I think they're going to be, is what I'm looking for.
Those fish don't always show up.
No, they don't. Yeah, if they're hugging the bottom, you're not going to see them. But so I'm looking for things on the bottom that I know they're going to be behind. That's kind of what I'm doing. And if I see a fish, well, that's just a bonus.
That's right. And just like you're talking, looking at that graph and seeing something for that fish to be behind, it doesn't always, in my opinion, doesn't always have to be something big for them to be behind. It could be something down there, 2 foot, a 2 foot rise down there in the bottom, and those fish could lay behind it.
Yeah, just anything to get them out of the flow, because especially the bigger catfish, they're not going to be sitting there and just swimming in the current. They don't want to. They have to expend a lot of energy doing that, and their objective is to eat as much as they can to. If they have to sit there and chase everything and swim in the current all day long, well, they're burning calories. So, they're going to find something to get behind.
Yep. Any kind of current break they can find.
Absolutely.
So when you're drifting, do you normally just drift? Do you use socks, or do you troll and use planer boards? How do you normally go about your drifting? Well,
it depends in my case, it depends on the current. Like, how much water TVA is releasing from the dams and the current speed. If I'm drifting, I've got some of those drifting weights I made them myself. There's a ton of YouTube videos on how to make them, but I'm using the kind of drifting stick style drifting weights, and I'm just trying to keep the boat in the current position to where I can present my bait to the fish while I'm drifting, and using the trolling motor. Even if I'm just drifting with the current, I'll use the trolling motor to keep my boat in position. I don't really use drifting socks. Like, I watch a lot of those guys on Santee Cooper using those giant drift socks and stuff. I'm not that coordinated. But drifting with the wind, I'll do that sometimes if the wind's pushing me. Again, using a trolling motor to and on days when it's like dead calm in the summertime and there's absolutely no flow, and I'm up on the lake or whatever, even down, sometimes you get conditions like that on the river, I'll just put the trolling motor on, like, try to drift and pull the boat between 0.4 and 0.5 miles an hour just to simulate the boat drifting or bait drifting down.
Right. So when you fish with a Carolina rig or Carolina rig with a float, so a Santee rig.
Mm-hmm.
How long do you generally make your leaders?
I don't get really fussy about it. Somewhere between 18 and 24 inches. I just pull a piece off and cut it off and tie it on. If it looks right, then it's right with me. I just I don't get fussy about how long it is. Just somewhere between 18 and 24 inches.
So, are you a braid person, or are you strictly monofilament?
Well, when I first started in this trophy catfishing endeavor, I was watching a lot of Steve Douglas videos and copying a lot of what he did. And as you know, he's a braid guy. So I thought, well, I got to use braid. So I was running 80-pound braid on everything. And when you got 4, 5, 6 rods out the back of the boat and you get snarled up with braid, it's time to break out the scissors. So it didn't take me long. I did that for about a year and probably went through, $100 worth of braid before I switched over to mono, because there's nothing wrong with using braid, and I respect the guys that can do it. But to me, it's just the price of it ain't worth it, and having to deal it just tangles up a lot easier, man. So like mono, you can almost always get it untangled when it gets all twisted up, but braid, man, you might as well break out the scissors when you're using braid. I have started playing around with bumping this year, which is something new for me.
Right.
So on that rod, I'm actually running braid for the sensitivity of it. But I do use braid on my skipjack rod too to just, feel the bite, because those rascals are. Plus, when I set the hook on them, I want to snatch their eyeballs out. I want them in my cooler. I don't care about fighting them or playing them. I want them in my cooler.
Well, speaking of skipjack, what kind of bait or rig do you use to catch skipjack?
I'm just using like a Carolina rig, and my typical setup is probably about, I don't know, 10 to 20 pound braid as a main line, and then about a 17 to 20 pound mono leader. I usually use like a 1/4 ounce barrel weight. What do you call it? I don't know what you call it. And then a swivel, and then about an 18 to 24 inch leader to I like Foley spoons, any kind of spoon. Sometimes I'll use some jigs, but there for a while I was trying skipjack fishing with 3 jigs, and I kept getting them all messed up. It's like rascals are hard to catch, so I don't want to spend time sitting there untangling it. So if I can get away with it, just one Foley spoon or one spoon is just an easy rig to use. So you're not, because you're wasting time when you're sitting there and you're untangling hair jigs when you got 3 on there, and then I go down to 2 and still getting tangled up. So just the simplicity of the Foley spoon, Carolina rig Foley spoon is hard to beat.
All right.
So we don't have skipjack in our local waters, like I said. So I've never caught a skipjack, but I do look forward to the opportunity one day getting somewhere they do have skipjack and fishing those waters. Because it seems like anywhere the skipjack, there are skipjacks. Skipjack's definitely king when it comes to bait.
Yeah, they're king on the Tennessee. And let me tell you something, catching skipjack is super fun. It's awesome. I mean, if you get into the herd of them, it's one right after the other, and they fight. They jump out of the water like a tarp. They call them Tennessee tarpon because they jump out of the water. I mean, they'll jump 3 or 4 feet out of the water. They're just fun to catch.
Well, do you have any tips on once you catch those skipjacks, taking care of that bait? Anything you do in particular to keep that bait good and fresh?
Man, keep it on the ice. Keep it as cold as you can, as soon as you can. Like usually what I do is I go to the dam and I'll catch me a few and put them in a bucket, and then immediately take them and put them on ice. And use them within a day or two of catching them. If you can't, just keep them iced down. Don't let them sit in water. They'll get soggy and they'll get mushy. Same thing if you just let them sit out in a bucket without any ice in them. The meat will get real soggy and mushy, and just it's not appealing to me. It certainly, I don't think, will be appealing to a catfish. But because once they start getting to where they're stinking, catfish don't like stink bait as much as people think they do. They want fresh.
Right. You'll catch a channel cat on stink bait, but the blue or the flathead, they like that fresh bait.
Yeah. You get that fresh bait, and of course, I try to keep this time of year. I'm working hard to get my freezer stocked up to last me throughout the summer, because I mean they are kind of seasonal. That they're running up towards the dam this time of year, and it's kind of like get them when you can and
Right.
put them in the freezer. And if you can catch fresh skipjack, that's obviously the best. But the next best thing would be well prepared frozen skipjack. And I take care when I'm freezing them. I dry them off as dry as I can get them. I actually cut the tails off to make them fit in the bag easier, and in a vacuum sealing bag, and then I'll vacuum seal 2 or 3 at a time together and put them in that freezer, immediately. If you take care of your bait, it'll take care of you.
That's right.
Good thing. Scroll through chat.
You're gonna scroll through chat, see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, somebody asked me if I'd ever heard I look like Godwin. Yeah, I've heard that before from Duck Dynasty.
You're part of the Duck Dynasty.
Not me. I wish I had their money.
For sure.
I'd have a bigger boat.
Yeah. What speaking of that, what type of boat do you have?
This year, last year actually, I bought a 1756 G3. I guess it's kind of one of their package boats. I know everybody on here has probably watched Joe Jellison. My boat's pretty much the exact same boat as Joe's, except his is a side console, where mine's a center console. And I just love a center console boat. So I love being able to hunker down behind that center console in the winter and get completely out of the wind. You can't beat that. But it has its downside. I have a lot less room in my boat because of that giant center console. And to get around it, you got about a foot on either side. So I don't have the open floor space that Joe's boat has. But I love it when it's 17 degrees. I can hunker down behind that thing and be completely out of the wind in wintertime. So it has its advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, Daddy's boat, which I fish with him every weekend, and he has a side console, and of course his side's got a windshield. Middle of winter, he'll hunker down, hug up that windshield, barely can see over in front of the boat, going up and trying to get where we're going, and I'm just sitting there getting ice, frostbite going in through the wind, and it can be rough.
Oh yeah, well, I fished with a buddy this winter, did some crappie fishing with a buddy here in Chattanooga he's a great crappie fisherman, Mike Johnson. But anyways, he bought him a new, like, man, I can't remember what kind of, it'll do 50 miles an hour, right? And he's got a console over on his side of the boat. I was sitting on and we're doing 50 miles an hour in January, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat with my hoodie pulled down over my head, leaning into the wind, trying to get out of the wind. And he's doing 50. I'm like, well, man, it ain't fair. You got a console, I don't.
Yeah, Daddy's tracker won't do but 35, but I'm telling you, the wind's plenty strong at 35 in January.
Oh, yeah, it's cold, man.
You pull that hood down and you're trying to make a decision whether the air it's catching and putting on you is worse than taking it down.
Well, that's why you lean forward as far as you can to try to put your face on the floorboard.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about this cold weather and everything. So what's your favorite time of year to catfish?
Oh, man. I mean, spring is awesome because the bite is so good and everything's moving upstream to feed. I love the spring cat bite, but I think I still prefer winter because there's less traffic on the lake. They draw the lake down. You don't have all the jet skis and all the wake boats and all the pontoon boats. And I mean, summertime, spring and late spring and early summer, it's just horrible. All the recreational boats drive me crazy.
Here, I don't know how big. What is it, Nickajack? Is that where you're at?
Well, we've got two lakes here. Chickamauga is above the dam, and it's the bigger impoundment, and then Nickajack is down below the dam, which is what we call the river, but it's Nickajack Lake, right. And it's huge. Chickamauga is a big lake.
Yeah, we're on a 40,000 acre,
10,000 acre reservoir is what we're on, and that, man, when it comes summertime, you don't have room out there to do nothing. There's so many boats on that lake, and those big old wake boats, man, they'll wash you plumb up on the bank.
Oh, they'll run right over your lines.
Yes, they don't.
Oh yeah, they don't have any. And I mean, not only it starts at the boat ramp, like you're sitting there waiting in line to get your boat. That's why in the summertime, I mean, I'm putting on the water before daylight because I want to be off the water by 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. I want to get my fishing in and done so they can have the lake. It's just so stressful to try to fish when you're dealing with that kind of thing. So I try to get, and of course Chickamauga is known as has turned into like an incredible bass lake. I mean, they're catching double-digit bass down here almost daily. So I love the lake, but there's a bass tournament at almost every boat ramp every Saturday, regardless. And it's just getting hard to enjoy fishing in the summertime because of it. I mean, I'm great. A few years ago, TWRA started stocking Florida strain bass in Lake Chickamauga, and that's kind of led to these giant hybridized bass that they're catching now. And of course, everybody's coming from all around to fish for bass. And I'm not a bass fisherman. I don't fish for bass. I I could care less. All the time I ever fish for them is when I'm fishing for crappie and I start seeing them chasing shad. Then it's just too easy and fun not to do it.
Yeah, we definitely have the same struggles here on our lake, except our lake's a lot smaller.
Even up in the creeks, it's amazing.
Even if that's the thing, we even got back up in the backwaters this last summer, back up at the river, and there was even jet skis and pontoons up in spots that, man, they didn't know where they were at for one, because the pontoons were getting ready to tear lower unit off the boat motor, and those jet skis, if they ever come off that jet ski where they was at, there wasn't very much water.
Yeah, it's like that here too. It's just in the summertime. So honestly, middle of winter, dead winter, my favorite time to fish. Our lakes and rivers. Colder the better. Less people out there.
We love wintertime fishing.
Yeah. If you're prepared for it, I mean, it's not that people all the time like, you fish when it's below freezing? I'm like, yeah, all the time. Sometimes when I'm crappie fishing, when I bring them in the boat, the water hits the deck and it freezes. You know, you're constantly cleaning the ice out of your guides on your rods. And I love it. Colder the better. Them crappie group up. I mean, they'll gang up on stuff, and I'll scroll by some things with my side image and look at it like a Christmas tree. It lights my graph up and then my eyes light up. When I see them like that, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, right. So do you ever, saying that, do you ever float fish any, or you always just fish with Santee rig or Carolina rig?
As far as for catfish?
Yes.
I've never tried float fishing for catfish. I want to try it this year. I see a lot of guys using those big pool noodle floats for catfish. Right. I'm intrigued by it. Let's just say that. I want to try it. So I've got lots of nice big spinning reels, and I want to give it a try this year. Maybe I get me a big flathead. But I've never done it.
I think this year I will try that some. Maybe get out at night some, find a big tree down in the water and float some bait around that big tree, see if we can get a flathead out of it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I want to try that too. I'm intrigued by it. I haven't done that much of it before. But I was talking about floats. A lot of times in the wintertime, when the crappie are like that, I'll put a floater underneath the jig, and when I see them grouped up like that, you know, it's a good way to keep a set depth on there, and you throw it out there and just twitch it back to the boat real slow. I think I call it float and fly. I enjoy catching crappie that way too.
Well, look, while we're talking about the crappie, what is your favorite way to crappie fish?
Shooting docks is my favorite.
Docks.
I love shooting docks. You know, I've been practicing it for a few years and got halfway good at it. And I mean, it's like, I tell people, it's like those old crane machines. You put your jig underneath there and you get a prize every time. You know, if you find a dock that's holding crappie, I like to shoot my jig back underneath it in the darkest spot on the dock. And, you know, you sit there and you watch that line and you'll just see it twitch. And then you know he's there. You ain't got to set the hook, just a little twitch of it. And I just love shooting docks. It's so much fun.
I got to do that one time. We went down to Ross Burnett Reservoir in Mississippi. That's how we fished, shooting docks, and that's the only time I've ever fished that way.
It's a super fun way. It takes some practice. And when I was teaching myself to do it, of course, I fished with some guys that were really good at shooting docks too, and they showed me a lot. But when I first started trying it, I would set up a bucket in the backyard and practice shooting into a bucket. Just take a jig and cut the barb off, cut the hook end off of the barb, and just practice shooting it into a bucket. Or even if you really want to make it fun, you can set you up some 2-liter bottles or some 20-ounce Coke bottles and kind of make yourself a little shooting gallery. And it's a great way to learn how to do it. It's just, you know, just practice. It's like shooting a bow and arrow or anything, man. It just takes practice.
Yes, yeah. Anything you do, if you want to be good at it, you got to do it. You got to practice. You got to
put the time in.
You got to put the time
in. Yeah.
Same
thing. Go ahead.
Hard before it.
That's right.
Sure. All right. Well, we're hitting the hour mark.
Oh yeah. So I guess we're hitting the hour mark, and I don't want to keep you any longer than we need to. And but in closing here, what if you were going to give somebody out there just starting out fishing or just starting out any YouTube channel or any of that? What would be the best advice you could give them?
Oh man, just put the time in. Put the time in and learn. Watch as many YouTube videos as you can. Watch what people are doing. Take notes. Go with other people who do it. If you have an opportunity to go with people that are fishing for catfish, just put the time in and learn how to do it. That time on the water, there's no way to not to around it. You can't just simply sit and watch a YouTube video and learn how to do it. You can see what other people are doing and try to imitate it and imitate what they're doing, but learn your knots and learn how to tie rigs up and spend time practicing, practice. Just get out there and go fish. The time on the water is what matters. Oh, and good bait. That if you're starting out, good bait is key. It's like the struggle for big catfish is finding good bait. That's the number one.
Good fresh bait.
Mm-hmm. Stuff out there they can eat. I mean, they've got the big fish, the small fish, the medium fish. There's a lot of bait out there that they can take down that the smaller fish can't. So they don't have to be as they can be a little more picky because they have options on those bigger fish. So
and stay away from the store-bought stuff that you see on the shelves in Walmart, that stink bait and those little injectable things. Forget about that stuff. Just go find you, if you don't have skipjack in your area, go catch you some bluegill. Learn to throw a cast net and catch you some shad, whatever. Just use good bait for catching big catfish. Forget that store-bought stuff.
That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Well, just to go over this here one more time before we get off here, make sure to go ahead, subscribe to BOBCAT Outdoors. Like I said, you'll love the videos. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that you won't be impressed with some of the fish he's putting in. And go set a reminder. He's got a video coming out on the 2nd coming up. He caught his PB on it, and he already posted of a 72-pound flathead he caught with a buddy, and he caught a 63-pound blue. So those are amazing videos. Check them all out, and his others he's got posted. Check back with us on Saturday, early Saturday morning. It'll be 7 o'clock our time.
7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yep. And we'll have the Whisker Derby live from our channel. I believe there's 11 total in it. We're going to have at least 14 giveaways on our channel that day.
Yes.
So we're going to have a lot. We're going to be giving a lot back, and we've got got 3 sponsors that give us about half of those giveaways, and they're with
Hooker's Terminal Tackle.
Yep, Uncle
Lou's.
Nice.
Uncle Lou's. Love Uncle Lou's pony.
I need that. I want to try that too.
And also Kitty Chaser's Tackle Company.
Yep. So, and then if anybody's interested in giveaway, they can all just get in contact with us. We'll be glad to shout out your company and let everybody know that you're sponsoring it. And so that's what I've got here, and we're excited about it. We also look forward to Catapalooza. Hopefully get to meet a lot of guys we spoke to in here in chat rooms, and hopefully get to meet you, Mr. Bob.
Yeah, I'll be there.
So we should be there all 3 days, and we're blessed that we get to take that trip. So, but you want to go ahead and pray us out?
Well, first off, just let me. But Bob, I want to just tell you thank you for being on. Really enjoyed talking with you. Like Cody said, Bob's got a great channel, BOBCAT Outdoors. Make sure y'all go check it out and give him a subscribe. And if you don't care, before we leave here tonight, I'll just pray us out.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, Lord, for this night. Thank you, Lord, for all the people that joined us, Lord. Thank you for Bob being with us tonight, Lord. We just ask you to look over each and every one of us, all of us out here fishing. Mainly, Lord, just keep us safe. And Lord, we just ask your guidance in all that we do in life. And may we always give you the glory for everything we do. As we always say, it's God, family, great outdoors.
Amen.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bob.